If there's one thing that you get from this video, I want you to understand to not gossip, as that assassinates any chance for collaboration amongst your team. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. My name is Spencer. This is the Leadership Launch series. Thank you again for clicking on this video. I really appreciate everyone who's enjoying this and any feedback I can get from you guys. And today we're going to be going over gossip and why you need to avoid it as if it's like the plague. So what is gossip? Gossip is sharing anything that's personal, private, or speculative about someone else, especially about their character. So I'm just going to write that here. So it's sharing anything private, personal, or speculative about another person and their character without them being there. So the person that you should be talking to and addressing the problem with, you're not actually having there. In fact, they're gone and you're talking to someone else that's typically not part of the situation to get it off your chest or to rant or whatever it is. And usually what it is specifically that you are gossiping about is either their relationships or your relationship with them, their status, behavior, or reputation. Now, the thing is with gossip is that it is never under any circumstance constructive. It's just not. And the reason why is because the tone of the conversation isn't genuine concern to help someone out. Otherwise, you wouldn't be talking to someone who's outside of the situation, so you could just give them all this word vomit of what this other person is doing or what they're like at work or whatever the case may be, right? Even if you see those dramas, there's a lot of women typically in those dramas that have a lot of gossip and they just like to gossip. And again, it doesn't actually, as it shows in the show, it doesn't actually help anyone, much less the relationship. It's just trying to word vomit your own opinion out there. So you're not caring. There's no genuine care towards the person that is affected by the gossip, who is being gossiped about. And there's also no intention to address it, because it wouldn't be gossip if there was an intention to address it. You would be talking about it differently. In fact, you would be talking to different people about it differently. One, it's very unproductive, and two, you're just assassinating someone else's character. Just assassinating it, and it doesn't really help. If something's not workable, like I've explained in that last video, there are a few different steps that you can take to make it workable. And if not, that's the point where you swap them out, get someone else in there. And if you don't have that, well, I can help you with that. But that's a different issue altogether. The fact is that you have ways and you have steps that you can take to make something workable. And if not, you need to deal with it. You don't just gossip about it. If anything, you're tolerating something that you don't want to tolerate in the first place. You're being inauthentic to yourself about what that means for you and how your day-to-day is going about because of that. Now, even though all of us can know even that gossip's bad, a lot of us need to understand why we gossip in the first place. There are 3 reasons why people gossip. First reason, bonding. So people gossip because they want to bond, because it's either a secret or a opinion that's not going to be very popular, and you're sharing a secret or opinion, right? So it's an opinion. And that makes people feel like they're getting closer together because they're talking about something. Now they're in it together. They're sharing the same pain, wherever they used to justify it. But that's the first one, is bonding. The second one is social control. And the reason why I say social control is because it really helps reinforce the norms of how things have typically been operating and allows you to justify not changing the way that things need to operate to have a different result. Okay, so it's reinforcing norms and it reinforces no change because that's convenient, that's easy, that's avoiding conflict. You're venting to someone else to get it off your chest and it avoids the conflict instead of dealing with the conflict. And as someone who's trying to develop yourself in your leadership, or you are a leader, I'm telling you right now, there's a different change and growth to you when you get used to dealing with conflict and you refuse to tolerate things that aren't workable for you or wherever you're working at or working with. You're taking a stand, whether it's taking a stand for how the company is supposed to be running, how the environment is supposed to be for you to work effectively and have great collaboration with your team. If they are doing things that you don't like, but you don't talk to them about it, you talk to someone else about it, there's no change. They probably don't understand that that's affecting you to that degree. And before you know it, you're absolutely assassinating whoever you're talking about without actually killing them, which makes the whole situation worse. And I'm going to get into the assassination part in a second. And the third one, gathering info. The reason why that's important to people is because it allows them to get an idea of the social landscape. So they feel like they're in the wherewithal of like what's happening, behind the scenes, literally cloak and dagger, political intrigue level sort of feeling. It's almost like people are playing spies. Oh, who's doing this? Who's doing that? Oh, they're so bad, blah, blah, blah. It's terrible. So anyways, it gives them an idea of the social landscape. It gives you a sense of power, and it gives you a sense of who can be trusted and who cannot. Those are the three reasons why people will gossip. None of them are justified. But it's my boss. Even if you are a leader and your leader is doing something that isn't preferable, if you are afraid of the conflict, that's especially when you need to do it because it eats you up inside to bottle it in and nothing for the better changes. Perhaps if you keep bringing up a issue or solution to your boss and they're just not taking it, eventually they're going to talk to someone else about it. And eventually someone else who has an outside perspective, assuming that they're not gossiping, is going to tell them, well, can you see how frustrating it is for someone to have to keep bringing something up and it's not being addressed? It might just give themselves an epiphany. It may, even if they're not responsive to your feedback at that point, if they bring it and when they bring it to a leader, because I'm assuming that you will have the courage to keep bringing it up, the leader is also going to reflect on them that there's going to be something there. And if it's really not working out because you see no action, again, deal with it. Find a new place to work. I'm not saying it's not going to take time and effort. I'm saying that for the betterment of your growth as a leader and your character, and as the team that you work with or you're trying to build yourself, you need to address things, not just talk about things secretly behind closed doors. It just doesn't work well that way. Assassinating character. I'm dead serious, no pun intended, when I talk about how gossip assassinates character, anyone's character. And a lot of you may be thinking, Spencer, isn't that a little bit extreme? Let me tell you why it's not. You're cornering the perceptions of what people think about that person, right? So if you have something like this, let's say, poor Bobby Joe here is just trying to walk in an alleyway, God forbid, but you keep reflecting on their behavior and their, status or reputation. Status or relationship. Eventually, because everything that you're doing is not constructive and building them up, is tearing them down, it's going to lead everyone to this guy or girl being a certain way at this corner. And then these guys don't even have control over it. because their minds are already, every peer's minds or teammate's mind, relationship, spouse, friend's mind is tainted with this contextual film that you or someone else has created about them. So even if they try walking away from the corner, they can't, because the picture frame is just going to keep moving along with them. You see what you want to see and you see what you focus on. The second thing is that you're talking about someone in secret, right? You have someone who's in the background, and here's you and here's someone else with your backs turned talking about whatever in secret. And you got the person shaking their head or whatever the case is. So you're here, you have no clue what's happening, and while your back is turned, these people are eyeing you and they're talking poorly about you. Much like an assassin that keeps everything under wraps and talks secretive about what their plans are and how they're going to be really carrying out their plan to destroy or kill the target. As an assassin, one of the easiest ways for you to get someone or to sneak up on someone is from behind, because no one's expecting it, right? So as someone who has their eyes turned, focused one way, perhaps I shouldn't do it like that. There we go. When you have your eyes focused turned one way, you have a giant target on your back that someone is aiming, their daggers at you, stabbing you in the back. Your back. It's like those kids that had the kick me sign on a piece of paper on their back. No one knows who put it there. It's the same thing. It's as damaging because everyone sees the target and naturally they're just gonna boom. There are people that create distance between themselves and the target to make sure that that distance gives them enough space so that people can't hold them accountable for the actions that they're taking to soil someone else's character. And you usually do that from the comforts of your home, or if it's in the office, it's out of prime view, much like I said before. Now, if you made it this far, you may be asking, okay, Spence, well, how do I not gossip? I've already been a part of this group for so long, or I do it naturally myself. Here's a couple rules. For yourself, unless you're going to be talking to someone about someone else, and it's from a genuine, authentic place of caring, so authentic care. If it's not about authentic care and you have no intention to change, you don't gossip. You don't. And this, now to be clear, this isn't a principle or value. This is a standard that I have brought upon myself. You don't gossip about people. I remember that when I was working in a volleyball center, I was a head coach for this beach volleyball center at one point, and my group, we would gossip, and this was before I realized how poor gossiping was, but my group gossiped about someone over and over and over again, and eventually they were fired. For whatever reason, no good reason. Everyone didn't like them though, because their character was tainted about the gossip. And soon enough, now I'm not part of the group. I'm not interacting with people who were typically in that gossiping space, or if I was, it was very, very service level. I wasn't getting the deets that I once was. And I also got let go at one point. If you perhaps have a partner or someone who does want to vent, venting is circumstantially fine. Because if you say upfront, hey, listen, I'm not here and I cannot gossip. I can listen to the struggles you had in your day-to-day work. That's different, because people can tell you what happened to them at work, taking the story out of it, just at work, and that doesn't have to diminish someone else's character. So for example, if, gossiping would be talking about how much of a jerk your boss is or how much of a bitch they are, right? Whereas if you were to vent, you could just easily say, you know what, I just had a hard time with my boss today, and we just weren't being clear on some issues or something that we needed from each other. So it adds some stress in my day. Boom. So much easier, and not soiling someone else's character compared to like, man, they're such a jerk, you know, they're so incompetent, they're so stupid, blah, blah, blah. And leaders, vice versa, especially when you're a leader, you cannot be gossiping about your people. You just can't. Because why would you be killing the characters of your team, especially if when they stick around long enough, they're going to be succeeding you because you're succeeding past the threshold or succeeding past where you are. Again, doesn't make sense to gossip. So keep these two rules in mind. If you're going to vent, keep note that you can vent without soiling someone else's character. Keep that in mind. Now, when you're around others, oh, and one more thing. If it's for yourself, you take an oath. Have you guys ever heard of paladins? Have you ever heard of monks who take an oath of silence? It's the same thing. Take an oath that you will not assassinate someone's character and you will not gossip about someone. And if that's too hard, just take the oath to not gossip. Just don't do it. And make sure people know about this oath, because this is how you lead into how do you deal with others. So in regards of others, I had a peer of mine. She works in a hospital in the States, and she told us a story, because we were in a leadership program, how she was around her colleagues, and one doctor came in, I think he was their supervisor, and they went out. Everyone else started taking digs on that supervisor and digging and gossiping about them and just like soiling their character, really damaging it. And they turned to her and they actually asked her, hey, like, what do you think? And she said, guys, I don't gossip about people and I won't be a part of it. And even though I can't, be out of this space, I'm not going to gossip. And she was so definitive about that. She made such a stand. Everyone else felt bad. And yeah, she dealt a little bit with now people not liking her because she wasn't in the group. But they knew that she wasn't going to gossip. And it made it much easier for her to have her own power, being empowering herself, because she wasn't at the whims of other people's stories, of other people's opinions of what may have happened. It changed her life. Like when she took that stand, no one around her gossiped anymore. And even if they were gossiping about her, the peace of mind she gets for herself was just changing. So that's the first thing. You tell others your oath. And I mean everyone. You tell everyone your oath. Even a couple weeks back, I was having a volleyball game, and one of my teammates was starting to talk about her season. And I told her, because I started hearing a lot of story and a lot of subjectivity, I told her, hey, listen, I just want you to know, I've taken an oath that I cannot gossip. So you can just tell me what happened or what itself has been difficult, but you can't blemish on anyone else's character. She had a smirk on her face because she realized that's exactly what she was going to do. I said, I'm sorry, we can't do it. So she did the best she can, and I would nudge her a little bit here and there to make sure that she wasn't gossiping with me. If you don't have teammates or friends that are receptive to that, and they say, well, I should be able to gossip, or I should tell you how I see it, how it is, then leave the room. Again, having the empowerment and having the say for yourself and being the cause and the matter of separating yourself from those situations is very, very powerful. Here's a couple ways to make sure that gossiping does not happen in the office, in the environment that your team works. No passive aggressive demeanors. Do not allow for it. If someone makes a comment that's a backhand compliment or a slight, address it right then and there. Especially if you're witnessing it amongst your team, address it right then and there. They need to know that that's not allowed. That cannot happen. In the same way that every little thing you do counts and you get positive exponential growth from that, but in the same way that something positively compounds, you have things that negatively compound too. Negatively compound. And in this case, what's being negative is the collaboration and the effectiveness of each of your team members because of this gossip. The second thing is that any concerns that people do have, judgments or opinions, you have to have an open door policy. Or if you don't want to have an open door policy all the time, then you need to have it at specific times. Almost like open office hours when students were going to university. You know, if any of you graduated university, they had that. The third one, no gossiping. If you are a leader, you put this in place during meetings. If you're not a leader, you let everyone else know that you're not gossiping. And you make sure that it's clear that if you have no care to change someone, right? Or sorry, if you don't care about that person, genuinely care, authentically care about that person, so no authentic care, and you're not going to change anything, then you drop it. You drop it, you make peace with it, and you move on. Because if you're not going to deal with it, then drop it. It's not going to help your peace of mind if you're going to keep holding on to this thing that isn't serving you in the first place. So I hope that was helpful for you guys. I hope that was really educational. If you have any other questions or comments on what we should do next, please comment down below. And I'll see you all in the next video.